Hi everyone, I have here Daniel again. Hi Daniel.
Hi.
So we'll be talking about Daniel's travels to Japan and his training in Taisharyu. So you mentioned we kind of left off uh, when you mentioned that you have done your exam um, in Japan in 2020, where you traveled as a group. I know that was kind of a very interesting time also for traveling, because as you were returning, it was just when the restrictions started, and uh, the COVID restrictions.
Mm,
So I'd like to ask you to speak a bit about that.
yeah, okay. Yes, I mean, at that time, so we were traveling in February 2020, and already there was, talk of uh, the virus
Mm.
going around the world, and you were having cases in some places, and but still there were no restrictions. But we were aware that probably soon
Mm.
something would happen, and at that time, right, nobody knew what it was gonna be. Nobody knew how serious it was gonna be, and so it was interesting going to Japan, and they already had the sanitize hand sanitizers everywhere,
Mm.
so they were probably faster than we were.
Mm.
Um, so this was like the first indication that something's changing.
Mm.
And while we are there, it wasn't really any different. Just when I went home and I was flying to, I think it was
Did you
Haneda Airport in
travel
Tokyo.
together with the group or separately?
Um, a few of us, so three of us, flew home together, and
Okay.
another two or three they stayed longer.
Hmm.
Um, and when we went to Haneda, it was already, kind of weird. A lot of people were leaving. You could tell at the airport,
Mm.
leaving Japan for their home
Yeah.
countries. So a lot of people were starting to wearing masks. It was a strange feeling,
Mm.
and
Was it a bit of a mess and kind of queues, people queuing up and
no, it wasn't
or
really a mess. It was everybody was acting differently. So
okay.
everybody was aware that something was coming. And I think my friends that they went all the way up to Hokkaido and then back down in direction of Tokyo, and and each time they left the city, they they left before the lockdown,
Hmm.
so they ran away from the lockdown and went home. And then yeah, we went home back to Austria, and soon, like 2 weeks after that, lockdown started. It was really
Mm.
uh,
So you were kind of lucky that you were able to return.
yes, actually, yes, we were kind of lucky, and yeah, turned out fine. And yeah, during the pandemic, we had to keep up training somehow, of course. So, like maybe other groups as well, we've established some online classes and online training with Japan. I know there are different opinions about that
Hmm.
out there. So,
I have
but
noticed that
that's
actually your
yeah.
group was very quick at this, and you started quite early, while others were
We,
still figuring it out.
I think we started in June 2020, maybe. So it was really early.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, we are still having online classes, so which is great, I think, because it's a nice addition
Yeah.
to the normal training. Because otherwise, you would have an exchange like once or twice a year with Japan, and now you can have it monthly.
Mm.
And you can ask questions, and you can check, and
Mm.
they can check you, and
Mm.
when you are there, you can really focus on different things that you've actually discussed and that you want to check again.
Mm.
So Of course, it's not perfect,
Mm.
because it comes with limitations,
Yeah.
but it gives you some opportunities
But
as well.
I think for Kenjutsu it's pretty good
Mm, yeah,
because
for
it's kind
other,
of easier to. With Taijutsu, you need to
of
feel
course,
the other person's balance and these things, so it's a bit more harder, but still, it can be done.
yes, yes, I understand totally what you mean. In our Kenjutsu, it's also, almost all the kata are with a partner, so it also makes this hard.
Hmm.
So it was good that we could try all the input we got at the online trainings. Then again, during our trainings once it was allowed again. Um, but yeah, sure. Um, no weapons. That's and relying on the actual feedback on the partner. You can't simulate that. No, you need that.
Mm.
And also, like now, when I was back in Japan, I got so much input, which and so many mistakes I've done, and nobody realized during online classes. Maybe, yeah.
Mm.
So of course you need both of them. It's
Yeah.
in and yo, right?
Mm.
Two sides of the
Yeah.
coin. That yeah, you need the in person training as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like these these limitations you had to go through, did it actually help you in some way? Was it only negative or were there any positives?
You mean pandemic
Yeah, these
restrictions?
restrictions, and you had to, you couldn't travel to Japan, etc. Had to, yeah, do the online classes.
Well, I wouldn't like to do it again. Of course, but of course, I was trying to stay positive, as tough as it was sometimes. But I think it has brought us closer together with Japan due to the online classes. So that's
Mm.
definitely a positive development, I think, which wouldn't I don't think would have happened anytime soon without this. I think that's for many Ryoha, maybe, or
Mm.
maybe many other martial arts schools, that I think everything was online suddenly, right?
Yeah, yeah.
um, and other than that, I don't know. What are you thinking of? Like, uh,
Well, usually if you have to overcome some some obstacles, or then you have to kind of be more creative and
mm,
figure out some ways around that, and then usually, or sometimes it's kind of you gain some insights, or
mm,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
For
I don't
example,
know.
for
Mhm.
myself,
Yes.
if I had always the opportunity to train with a teacher in person, and I would not have to go through kind of ways for myself trying to figure it out and to figure out the techniques, and but without actually doing that, I wouldn't understand. I would understand less than I do now, I think.
Hmm.
Not that I would be an expert, but like I think just being in that comfortable position all the time, where you have a teacher nearby and he just gives you feedback. Um, yeah, I wouldn't have to struggle as much. I wouldn't have to put that much effort, and probably
Of
I would
course. Yeah.
gain less, I would
Yeah.
think.
That's true. But I'm not sure when this was, or this struggle for me was, if it was before the pandemic or during the pandemic, if it was more the struggle. Because before, like,
Mm.
we started in 2015 with the first seminar, and then I had one kata for 1 year,
Mhm.
which I tried to figure out.
So you were kind of in a
Um,
lockdown already then, with
well,
with one kata.
well, I had my friends who I could train it with,
Yeah.
but but just you have to work with that
Mm.
alone with your experience and try to improve it, think it through, ask
Mm.
questions, or collect questions. which you then can ask the next time. Um, yeah.
Okay, so that's quite a similar thing.
And now we can ask directly, but or more often. But
Mm.
we can only feel the answer like once or twice a year, right?
Mm. Mm. Okay, but with the pandemic, the online classes actually gave you the opportunity to be
Yes,
able to ask and
exactly,
exchange the information more.
exactly.
Okay, great. We started talking about your travels to
Hmm.
Japan. So you mentioned that you've been to Japan 11 times, was it?
11 times, yes.
So how was the
Uh,
first time? What was
first
the experience like?
first time was great. It was in 2011 in February as well, and it was before the great earthquake and the tsunami. So it was also, I think, was it in March or end of February?
Yeah, March
Um,
11th.
yeah, March 11th. Yeah. So it was still before that,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Were
was
you there during the earthquake as well?
no, 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 no. Very fortunately, I wasn't
Mm.
there. We left like two weeks earlier or something.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, it was my first experience in Japan, so it was truly special. I went with my Austrian Asian Rio teachers. Uh, no, only my teacher, only one of them, and we were going to Katsura, which is a training center close to Budo University. There's also located in Katsura. Um, it's a smaller town on the Pacific coast, and also on the west coast. And it's you go from Tokyo to Chiba and then to Katsura. Um, and we spent there a week of training. Uh, Actually, my brother was with me, which was a lot of fun, and it was really tough training. We had 11 hours of training a day.
Mm.
It was insane, and we were so tired that yeah, first time returning to Tokyo, wanted to do sightseeing. We never got out of bed. Um, but yeah, it was really special. And after
Was
that,
your brother training as well?
yes, he was training as
Yeah.
well at that time. And after returning to Tokyo, spending a few days there, we joined again with the group, which had an Enbu, a demonstration at the Nihon Budokan, for the yearly demonstration of the Nihon Kobudo Kyokai.
Mm.
So it was also my first experience witnessing different schools in Japan in this big martial arts hall, and it was great. It
Mm.
was amazing, and yeah, standing there, we didn't participate like actually doing any kata or something, but we collected the tatami that sensei cut, uh, the tatami rolls, and yeah, it was really special, really cool time. I like to think back to it a lot. And I returned a couple of times after that for training sessions in Katsura, um, which is always in February. Yeah.
And then eventually you started traveling to Japan also because of your Taisha Ryu, right?
Yes, this was in 2017, I think, the first time. And as I mentioned, this is in Kumamoto Prefecture, so in the south,
Mm.
or in the southeast
I've been at
and
the Budokan.
southwest. Sorry, and Katsura is on the
Mm.
east coast. I'm bad with directions. Sorry. Yeah. In the Budokan, sorry, you were saying?
Oh yeah, Kumamoto had a nice Budokan. I've been there at some, I think, seminar or some kind
Oh,
of
really?
event.
Okay.
It was quite impressive. And also another thing I remember from Kumamoto that I ate um, basashi, like sashimi
Ah,
from
yeah.
with horse meat sashimi.
I have yet to try that. Ah, no, that's not true. I tried it in Yamagata Prefecture. They also had it in Yamagata Prefecture.
And another thing I remember was the renkon, the lotus root
Mm-hmm.
filled with the holes. You know, it has those holes, and they
Mm-hmm.
were filled with mustard.
With mustard. Ah,
Yeah,
I haven't tried that
that's
yet.
that's like my memory when I think of Kumamoto. These three things: Budokan,
Okay.
and I don't remember all the details. 'Cause it's been a long time ago,
Yeah.
but it looks very um, kind of not as busy as the
No, it's not.
bigger cities and kind of
And
more
we're also not in the main city of
relaxed,
Kumamoto.
maybe.
Yeah, it's very relaxed. So we are in the Hombo Dojo is in Yatsushiro, which is south of Kumamoto, and it's also not directly in the city, so it's on the countryside, between the fields. So it's very relaxed and nice, and a very cool atmosphere. And we often travel to Hitoyoshi as well, which is in the mountains. So it's a mountain valley. It's surrounded by all sides with mountains. And this is the former Sagara domain, so of the Sagara daimyo, the Sagara family, and where Taisharyu was the house school, Kenjutsu school for the samurai of the Sagara. And we also our founder is from there, so he's from Nishiki, which is a small village in Hitoyoshi area. And his grave is there, so we visit the grave, and we train at the Budokan. We visit Awayaso Chinja. It's a very old shrine that we have close connections with. It's 1,200 years old. It's really
Wow.
crazy, crazy old. And it's the southernmost national treasure or something. Not sure. Sorry if I messed it up. And yeah, really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, that
Actually,
looks
it has
really.
been flooded recently in 2020. A very big flooding Ashikita and Hitoyoshi, and now this shrine. There's a lot of construction works going on, rebuilding, and Taishari also helped with, or is still helping with restoring the treasure swords of Aoyasu. So
How many
we
swords were there?
it's hundreds.
Wow. Okay.
It's I don't know the exact number, but it's really a lot, and dating back from I don't know 1,000 years, and so all of them were in the water. They have been taken out of the water. They have been cleaned, but now they are being polished,
Hmm.
and this of course takes a lot of time. And Taishiryu has collected money in a fundraising campaign online, and um, surprisingly, a lot of people helped, and we raised all the money for polishing these swords. It's really cool how
Hmm.
the people came together, and yeah.
Was it
Now
mostly
one
people from Japan or
mostly yes,
overseas? Yep.
mostly yes. Of course, our group donated,
Hmm.
but yeah, mostly it was Japanese people. And now one lucky sword polisher has a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Can you imagine with many of these traditional crafts, it's difficult to make a living. I don't know how is it in with the sword polishers, but I know many of these people who were creating different training weapons and different traditional instruments. They just kind of couldn't keep it up, had to close down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I think what could be interesting for people listening to this, for people who haven't kind of trained in Japan or staying, to explain how it works. For example, I don't know, Iwan Ryu does this kind of the uchideshi experience, right? That you can kind of, you go sleep at the dojo, wake up 5 o'clock, start with cleaning, then you have one training, then you do that, etc. Some of these schools still have this kind of approach. Of course, some of these older groups have very more individualistic approach as well. But how does it work? So, what was your experience? How was your day?
Well, it's as you say. I think it's very different from group to group. So while, for example, in Asian Rio, it was a seminar which everybody had to attend with a fixed schedule, with daily practice and getting up very early, training till late in the evening. And for example, Meifu Shinkage, I was there for. Of course, there are seminars as well that you could apply to, but if you're in Japan, you can make and organize some private trainings with Otsuka Sensei. And for Taisha Ryu, yeah, it's also very relaxed. So Sensei will ask you when you're coming, how many hours a day will you train, what do you want to train, and so he's really, you know, easy in this aspect. But um, yeah, but sometimes we would train at his dojo if there's time, or we would book some kind of budokan in the area, whatever would be available at that time. And yeah, people are busy, so you need to see when and where you can squeeze in a few hours of keiko.
Hmm. How many people are there usually at the same time practicing?
It depends. So when somebody's coming and traveling, um, mostly I've been there alone. Sometimes I've been there twice with a group, so with my Austrian colleagues. So it can happen that you're alone with sensei and soke. So our headmaster, our headmistress is Eriko Uehara Eriko, and she's the 15th generation. So most of the time, both of them would train with you. And if some other Japanese student has time as well, they will join the training. So it really depends. There is some regular training during the week where everybody can come, and then there's also some private training where people that have the time they can join. So it's very flexible at this moment. But you know, it's partly due to the fact that now they are doing this full time, or they are able to doing this full time. Now we have enough members that who can support our teachers, that they can fully, commit to teaching, which is, I think, a very good, good development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. It's it's very difficult for Japanese to be able to practice these arts because, of course, if you're doing something like judo, where it is relatively where you can get kind of funding and you can become professional, of course, you have to be really good, and only a small percentage will make it. But still, you can live a good life in Japan. But if you're doing this Koryu arts, uh, it's difficult, right? So you don't they're not that many people training often, and
Yeah.
also you don't get from government, you don't get support. So
Yeah, and also for the art itself is it's walking the thin line. It
mm,
right. It shouldn't become a business,
mm,
but you just need enough to sustain yourself,
yeah.
which is just the fact. Yeah. So you have to make wise decisions, I
Mm.
think.
Yeah, that's a whole another discussion, but that's a very good discussion. But yeah, because like if you live in Japan,
Yeah,
if you're not professional, then you have to work somewhere. If you have a family, you have to work even more, do all these
sure.
overtimes. So you
Yeah.
come home in the evening, probably work Saturday as well. So it's really difficult to make time for training.
Mm,
Um, because of that, it's also difficult to kind of keep it at certain level
yeah.
because you don't have that much time to train, and when you do train, it's kind of you have to take the time from something else. You have to give um, give up some other activities, or your family has to give up some time with you, etc. So yeah,
Yes.
it's quite in Japan is really
Yeah,
difficult,
it's tough,
I
of
think.
course.
And
But there are several groups in Taishoria, in not only in Yatsushiro where we are, or where the Hombo Dojo is, but
mhm.
I there is one study group in Saga Prefecture, one in Osaka, one in Tokyo, and now since I think a few years we also have one in Hitoyoshi. So we are also growing in Japan, which is nice.
Mm.
Even with all these difficulties you mentioned. Yeah,
And it
thank you.
was very interesting as well to learn more about Taisharyu and a lot of other things. So thank you, and yeah,
You're welcome.
next time.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.